These men are the supersonic defenders of Britain's skies. The planes they fly are Lightnings, the latest and fastest fighter aircraft to serve with the Royal Air Force. The jet age has brought many changes in fighter operations. Today, there is no prolonged warming up before takeoff. At moments of alert, the pilot is waiting in his cockpit for instructions. He gets them, starts the engines, and takes off. A few minutes later, perhaps 10 miles above the Earth, his radar eye locks onto the target. In an instant, his rockets, which can seek out and destroy an enemy plane, are fired. Behind these watchdogs of the skies is a story of the men who put them in the air, the test pilots. Jim Dell is one. While his son goes off to school, he starts work like millions of others. But for Jim Dell, flying is the only real fulfillment in his working life. As a boy in Liverpool, he dreamed of becoming a pilot in the Royal Air Force. Before the war ended, he achieved his ambition. Today, flying still holds a magic attraction for him, even though the life of a test pilot has become a routine job which involves more office work than flying. Every test pilot now spends most of his time getting to know the plane he'll have to fly long before he can take it up. The cockpit of a modern plane is a mass of instruments and gauges, and the slightest deviation in flight could fill a whole report. The flick of a switch will set in motion a complicated system of electronics that would hurtle the plane through space at a mile in less than 3 seconds, and the slightest mistake could have disastrous results. But what goes up must come down, and even a plane which flies at 25 miles a minute still has to use wheels to land. Nothing is left to chance in a plane which costs about £500,000 to build. Each part has been subjected to tests on the ground for hundreds of hours. Long before each part is made, it takes shape on the drawing board, and today, a test pilot knows what every single piece will do before it's even made. In a cockpit so full of equipment, the pilot must be sure he can get clear if he has to use his ejector seat. Within 3 seconds of pulling this handle, the pilot will be shot to safety if the need arose. Jim Dell knows what it's like. It once saved his life in his Air Force days. The pilot is still the most vital part of a test flight. Nothing can replace the response of the human brain. High above the Earth, special equipment is needed to protect him from the crushing weight of supersonic speed. The equipment for each pilot may cost £1,000, and a pressure helmet like this runs into several hundreds. While the element of risk lessens every day, a parachute is still the only way of getting back to Earth safely should the need arise. For Jim Dell, each day brings 1, perhaps 2 or 3 routine flights, another gauge to be tested, the radar system to be checked, perhaps a refueling test high over the Irish Sea. Every test goes through the same meticulous routine. Every man on the ground has his job. The efficiency of each man, no matter what his job, is a vital link. The test pilot places his life in their hands, and the men on the ground are aware of their responsibility. The closing of the canopy creates a detachment from the world outside which only the pilot can experience. From now on, he'll be alone. His only link with the ground, will be through the men in the control tower, who chart his every move on the radar screen. For the next half hour, perhaps, everything will be counted in seconds. Every response of a new piece of equipment checked and rechecked. In the cockpit alone are more than 80 gauges and instruments which need to be watched. The runway flashes past with increasing speed. The plane streaks into the air, and soon it's cruising at 50,000 feet. To Mrs. Dell, the piercing screech of a supersonic plane has become as much a part of her life as her husband's. High above the clouds, there is no sensation of speed, and nothing to suggest doing a mile in less than 3 seconds, which means London to Glasgow in about a quarter of an hour. The Lightning is Britain's first plane capable of flying at more than twice the speed of sound. Behind it are other famous names: Spitfire, Beaufighter, Canberra. Another test flight is over. But coming into land at about 200 miles an hour needs a parachute brake. Back on Earth, and Jim Dell's speed is reduced to 4 miles an hour. Now information has to be checked, and perhaps modifications have to be made. The experts are waiting for his report. Although few of them have flown in similar conditions, they know as much about the plane as Jim Dell himself. Today, flying is a science, no longer a hit-and-miss affair. Each item of his flight has been recorded on the pad, which all test pilots strap to their knees. The facts and figures from it are vital clues to perhaps yet another refinement. These are the men who daily probe the unknown elements of the supersonic age. Some of them have already become legendary figures. Some of them hold world records for outstanding feats. But all of them, like Jim Dell, are dedicated to their job. To them, it's a way of life. To the age of science, it's a stepping stone to the stars.